For all of those of you who were wondering how the nutritionist's diary, the diet, how it's going, it's going. So you no, you you will know. If you're new, you're like, what the fuck? Okay, so this is part of the 5D Mystic Skeptic Nutritionist Diary. I'm on day 13 of a diet to gain weight. Well, it's to actually gain muscle mass, not weight, because I am 45 years of age, and if you've ever struggled with advice that you didn't want but maybe you needed, or you felt like, there's a clash between doing things your way versus the right way for you, you'll relate to this. Yay! So being yourself the smart way, that's what this approach is all about. And it is blending science and spirituality, working with professionals who care, and paying attention to your inner and outer dialogue. And then it's also remembering that it's not a one size fits all. So to be yourself, of course, and to live the best life ever. Now, as a mystic, we were talking today about how others can inspire you, but motivation and awe are for you to create. You create it from a ventral vagal state, which is why every human being will leave behind their mark and legacy, one of destruction, unhealthy fear, and the baby pacifiers, or the pacifier, loops, however those scientists people were talking about, those who have unhealthy self-soothing mechanisms. So yeah, we have a bunch of those. They also are divisive, by the way. They're not just unhealthily treating themselves. Their body is protective, so even if they're on a healthy nutritionist diet and then they're looking great, inside they're not doing great. It's unfortunate when you hide emotions from yourself, and it's not funny. So some people have said, stop calling them drama kings, drama queens, and I said, look, you don't know what it's like to be the bad one. You don't realize that whenever we present to them the wellness industry, I'm a mentor, content creator, podcast host, as a Christ consciousness, mystic, spiritual, and enlightened one, I've said, God's children, they have many voices, but there's the many voices with one truth. They only have one truth. Our human nature is love with healthy fear. The one truth is that we're all God's children, and so there's no mean ones. Well, there's emotionally immature hurt ones, okay? So when we want to understand what good and bad is, it's not let me cast a stone. That's very not nice. I actually follow Jesus. But when I say good and bad, it means effective and effective. And I actually laugh with Buddha, and he laughs with me, because I'm like, come on, Buddha, no more sitting under the tree. People need you to go places and do things. So all of us angels walking the planet, we're luminous warriors. Warriors are always healthy because they can't be unhealthy. Luckily, we're no longer in the past, so they don't use what is the modulated embodiment. We use our ventral vagal state because that makes them really, really smart, mentally and emotionally intelligent. People love themselves first, which is why then they'll take care of themselves. And they'll know that a good mystical shaman says you go to therapy first. Once you're out of the dorsal vagal, shut down stuff, and you're using your ventral vagal state, because you can use your wield, your thoughts, and your emotions. Great. Now that you know the blade of yours, it's a circle of life, and that humanity, like the animal kingdom, we're part of it, and so Pachamama won't eat us alive. So what's Maria's why? To my healthy routines, my mother taught me how to believe in myself, and how to be healthy, and how to be smart, and how to be a member of society. That's as straightforward as it gets. So it's not hard for me to know how to blend science and spirituality, because intellectually speaking, smart people know how to spot pseudo-intellectuals. And pseudoscience, yes, I'm pseudoscience. I know where scientists are. And then we also know how to handle those who talk down to us because they're not mystics. And we're just like, okay, that's not an empowered one, but it's okay. We don't need to tell them that, because that way we don't have to use our time with explaining ourselves some more to somebody who only wants to be very dry, boring, and doesn't notice that they don't know the consilience approach. So they're missing a lot of pieces. But above all, they're ostriches with heads in the sand. So the routines, we're all creatures of habit, and healthy choices are always amazing. This diet is doing really great. I have regular bowel movements, which I'm still getting comfortable with. So you know how when you're like afraid something's gonna happen, like my panic attacks or IBS attacks? Yeah. I'm like, is this real? Like, I'm waiting for it. Oh my gosh, wow, this is amazing. I'm still waiting. It's one of those things where it's always in the back of your head. Like when I got a little kidney stone, so anytime I'm having a little hurt somewhere, I'm like, oh no, it's a kid, and I'm like, no, it's not. Stop remembering. But that's how our brain wants to protect us. So it's more, okay, thank you for reminding me. We can breathe, and that's why it's not a one size fits all, and it's why you get to be you and I get to be me. But that's the part of why your participation is necessary, is I can't make you love yourself first, and I can't make you have good inner and outer dialogue. So the people who choose humility, they're the ones who are settled into our lovely Christ consciousness frequency. And so the healthy routines, you get sloppy, but you still establish them. Your healthy choices, you get sloppy, but a little bit. And so with mine, it's going great. I can say that I have better temperature, less cold. I sleep. I've always slept well though. The bowel thing, the bowel movements, that's where I'm like, oh my God, I'm so happy. Like that is, if there's one thing that I'm like, oh my God, that immediately I noticed my skin. I told you all about that one. So what's the most challenge is getting the shopping done, because it impedes with my regular day-to-day, so I haven't figured out that yet. And also, like, I want to take breaks and eat food that my family eats too. So I'm gonna have to see if once I get to where I need to be, because I'm at a low metabolism rate or something like that. So I think once I'm in a good metabolism rate, and then there's another thing I need to integrate better physical exercise routines. So the why is because how am I going to help some other old lady get up when I'm old if we're both on the floor? Or an old man. Well, the man I might have a hard time. I'm small. That's why I need to gain weight and get strong, but not too strong because my back is crooked. I have scoliosis. So you work with smart professionals who give you proactive, immediate measures. They also continue to follow with you, and then they adapt. And what you're going to find, if they're good, is good results. Now, the research part I got to learn, and that's from my mother, for good food, good professionals, and that doesn't always mean it's easy. It depends if you're misplaced. Like, let's say you move to a new place or you are in a new place. So that's where some of these things can be a pain. I know a lot of people want to talk about the people who are not able to afford things. I am actually a person who realizes out there we have a lot of people who are supporting each other. So one of the supermarkets I shop in, I saw that they have a shopping basket here in Naples, Italy, that's for whoever needs food. And I was going to drop some food in, but I didn't know they had it, so I wasn't able to get it. But I said, wow, that's amazing. So neighborhoods, when you actually visit them, they will typically always have at least some people who care about their neighbors. And so this is the part of where bringing the why to your routines, and those are your good routines, noticing the bad routines, the healthy choices. Some people will always find a way to have an excuse for why they can't do something. And it's about, so I'm going to give you the order of importance. You need air, water, and food. That's what you need. Air, water, food to physically live. You need mental health, because otherwise you're talking shit. And that's where by the time a person's an adolescent, if they were broken, not fixed, meaning they didn't have the capacity to heal themselves, and it's not to be rude. The broken fixing, I got it from a person who is healed, and they said, I'm writing a book so that people can know they're not broken, so that they can get fixed. And I know some people who are really sensitive, but we're not here for the sensitive ones who take things out of context. Emotionally mature people don't take things out of context. They also don't jump to conclusions, and they don't get reactive, or if they do, I get reactive sometimes, they notice it and they're like, okay, I'm wrong. Like this, right? So if you've ever struggled with advice you didn't want but maybe needed, or felt the clash between doing things your way versus the right way for you. So we all can sound like the 3-year-old is like, I don't want that. I'm going to be a bitch about it right now. And then you're not, though. You see what I'm saying? So it's not the words. It's from here. When someone doesn't know how to forgive, and they don't notice that they're giving scarlet letters around, and they therefore don't notice their nervous system. Yes, I know all about the Facos. They're completely uninteresting to me. We make fun of them here at IHP. Hey, Gargamel, Smurfs are going to come catch you in a minute. So anybody who's wanting to bring that word suffering, yeah, emotionally intelligent, mentally intelligent people, we don't suffer because we're using our prefrontal, because we're using our body in its ventral vagal state. It's always on. The why. There are people who call securely attached people boring. These are coaches, and I'm like, okay, how are you going to motivate your people? So the boring thing is because within you, you are in a meditative state. There's an ease, which is great because that means you're doing eustress, which means your body's healthy, which is why the nutrition is going to work wonders, as will the physical activity, and I'll be able to optimize Maria's human being body as it ages so that it can lift an old lady at least remotely off the floor if we're both on the floor, versus risk breaking hips, all that. Or if I do, because I'm doing the right thing, okay, so I'm not living of air. Okay, so your mental health needs to be there. One question I've always wondered is, how does anybody ever not notice you with a bad drinking routine, eating routine, all routine, sleeping routine, are treating yourself like shit? You're not going to be doing yourself any favors. So any excuse you want, sure, we can understand. I can understand, like with my back exercises, but sooner or later, and that's exactly how it works, I'm going to be brought to have to pick it up again. So with me, I've had only one like big shove, and that was where I was walking up the steps with my, like I was crawling on the floor with my scoliosis. Ever since then, my osteopath, he helped me, and he's like, you have to do these all the time. And I was like, they told me I didn't. They told me I didn't. I was basing what I was doing, because I still remember when I took my back brace off. I was 14. Finally, I got this thing off. It would put holes in my clothes. If I fell, I couldn't get up. One time I fell backwards with my skirt, and I brought it back down, and then I tried to get up, and I was like, okay, hold on. And by the time I got up, my twin was rushing to come get me, but I was up by then, like a little turtle on her back. So I asked them specifically, do I have to do any physical activity? They said, no, it's not going to move an inch. And so as I'm telling my osteopath this, there's another doctor. What, are you stupid? And in my head, I'm like ignoring it, because when you meet emotionally immature people, you ignore them, because obviously they were treated like that. Okay, so when someone's treated like shit by some other human being, I don't treat you like shit, because I know manners, unlike what that is. So whenever reactivity takes place, that's where, thanks Gabor Mate, Patrick Tian, Dr. Daniel Siegel, and all of the men out there, and women, but these are in this case when men talk down and all that, they're real, because seriously, what are you doing? I need to stand up. Sure you do, or any woman, whoever it is, it doesn't matter. Yeah, sure, stand up, go stand up, do a pouting, hissy fit. I can't do anything, I'm 4'9", but automatically you don't know how to use your mouth. You're clearly destabilized. I wouldn't be looking at myself so proudly at all, because you need to learn how to harness yourself. So again, it's more of, you got taught bad manners. And I have another situation where this guy, we're in another doctor's office, and he's just, and he starts yelling. The only way I'm going to get hurt is yelling. So all these people with these old ways of doing things, and you're like, okay, let's just leave it alone, because I mean, unless you're huge like they are, you don't stand a chance. Plus, the minute they're volatile, anyone who's beginning to get in their angry circuit is already offline. So you might as well just leave it alone, because you don't want to fuel a fire. You'd have to contain them to hold them down, but still, that's not something necessary if all they're doing is blah 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 blah. So in this instance, I am actually in the osteopath is talking to me, and he's like, oh my god, what did you do? Because I had lost weight, you're gonna crumble. And he's actually reactive, but he cares about me, so I was more okay with that. This random lady who's his colleague was like, what, are you stupid? And I ignored that, because I'm like, I'm not the expert. But I had an answer, which I didn't bother explaining to either of them. I'm explaining it to you, because I asked specifically to the doctors that were taking my back brace off if I had to do any activity, and they said no. So I was still thinking the experts told me I didn't have to. So when someone who's an expert, a professional, tells me I'm stupid, I'm not meant to learn what you know, because I'm not a professional. But hey, thanks for letting me know that you think of that. I'm going to think nothing of it. I'm just going to notice if you give me what is a good, like my osteopath, a good routine, you're good with what you do, I'm going to be able to ignore your bad manners, because you're good at what you do. And because I can accept that people have been raised with bad manners. And I'm not going to give you a scarlet letter, because I don't cast stones and judge somebody based on that which is called biological rudeness, because I'm not their lecturer. Martyr superiors, they want to tell people how to behave. I ain't your parent, I ain't anything. You didn't do anything to me. I'm emotionally, mentally stable enough to be able to be a grown-up who understands that functional inner child adults will be emotionally mature, mentally mature, and not go and use any of those words because it's unnecessary. Any characterological distinctions are only used by human beings who are reactive, which is where. So anyways, routines and healthy choices. And the part that I was trying to get to is you'll know when you're working with the good ones because you'll have the results. And you'll also know what works because you'll be feeling better. So the feeling better, feeling more, definitely the bowel movements is the one thing that I'm like, oh my God, is amazing. Because I'm always waiting for that next, IBS attack. Instead, it's simply not gonna happen. I'm on that. I'm pretty certain. So in the meantime, though, healthy choices, very easy for somebody who cares. Why? It's not boring, because I think of the 24 hours that I have and the fact that I can grow old and lift an old lady or old man off the floor at some point. And then I think of we won't be around the ones who obviously think that their unhealthy style is fine, because it's not. There's no one size fits all. Everybody works with what they can and what they want, and then it's not about shaming each other. So when people decide if they don't want to smoke cigarettes, they don't want to smoke cigars, they don't want to drink, they don't want to do, fine, don't do any of it, but don't go around lecturing people. And so this is the part of where when we talk to each other, it's about sharing knowledge and information, and then children are who we really want to make sure they know what it is like to be leading a healthy lifestyle. So I don't do it to lecture anyone. For our lovely playlist, it's to share this journey with you because you're helping me, actually. If you remember, I'm like, I know I'm going to need support because I really don't think I need it because my body feels good. But I know that in the long run, it's good because I can build better muscle. I can build things that I most likely won't notice that would need any attention until the day would come. You see, so this is called when you're using your executive decision-making function areas for long-term thinking and not waiting. So when I got this backstabbing pain, I wasn't doing anything wrong, but I was eating less. I was not doing my exercises. So there were things that I wasn't doing. I never did that again because that was really painful, but also because I found out the truth, which is you need to consistently maintain it. And that part of physical activity. So right now, I'm still actually trying to find a better way to create the habit of moving. So that is where somebody gave me good advice. If I didn't mention it, the advice is like to try with 30-minute. And I think that will work because I have specific routines for my back. So between the meal plan works. I'm used to it now. The food is really great. I don't mind it at all. Of course, I want to be able to have like when family's eating something, some breaks. But I think that I will be able to eventually. I don't know. We're going to have a monthly meeting. So I'll let you know after that monthly meeting what happens. But in the meantime, I will try to get some other lives, and I'll be moving to different locations. So our lives eventually will be in another place at some point. In fact, this might be the last diary entry for now. We'll find out. And until like a couple weeks, maybe I'll wait till I get my meeting with her. But what I can tell you is you bring the why to anything you establish. So your routines and your healthy choices. If you want not healthy choices, that's not actually something anybody wants. Most people will be uneducated about it. Then there's also people who don't understand the importance of body and ventral vagal state. And that in and of itself, when Dr. Amy Apigan points out the body will sometimes refuse that which is healthy, it's because it's fighting, quote, it's not fighting, it's used to a different way of being. But talking about yourself as being rewired, the reality is you're moving into what you were supposed to be all, like for the people who are healing from their trauma, not knowing how to self-regulate. They were meant to know how to self-regulate. We're mammals. We began to be able to self-regulate thanks to being able to sit down together and eat. And in fact, the reason I know of what a healthy routine and lifestyle and all these choices are is because of family. My mother consistently teaching, so I know how to pick good food. I know what that's why the having a diet is gonna discipline me, because it's here you go, okay, 1 2 3, like with flossing or brushing teeth. And so you choose, you got the cue. You do the habit, and the reward is that I know I'm doing my body good, and I'm gonna also save in the long run, but I'm also gonna avoid physical pain, emotional pain, mental pain, and that involves my loved ones too, because they're not gonna worry. Because when we are living unhealthy, like my Pinocchio friends, it's not like I'm happy that they're gonna live unhealthily. I always will worry, but I'm a worrywart. So then again, that doesn't really matter. But yeah, you bring the why, and if it gets boring, you're the one who's living in your head. And so you can find that which is, I have 24 hours, I have loved ones. And if someone doesn't have one human being, well, then they won't be watching this video. And that's sad. That one human being, they deserve to be loved as well. And if they're all alone, there's a reason for that. They can be helped, but they need to have people who say, we will cheer you on and support you to get out. And yes, keep going. But if you fall down, we'll keep picking you up if you let us pick you up. But eventually, if you're keeping on falling down and we're walking forward, I mean, this is the part of where it's a figure of speech, because living an unhealthy day-to-day routine and choice is going to lead to something that is not, like Dan Martell says, your future now starts now, not tomorrow. So you putting off any kind of good habit. There's always wiggle room. Like I said, I've had wiggle room of that which is sloppiness, but I always am maintaining it. And that's why I made the choice this year to say, okay, 45, let's do it. And that'll keep me on track. Like with the flossing and all those other basic, which seems silly, but your mouth actually, what comes, the bacteria and all that, when you're swallowing it, it's not good for you. So we don't have to become germ freaks. I've seen these other people, they're completely becoming obsessive about it. That's not what we want. That's actually, no, we can know that we're part of, nature and whatnot. Like moderation is always, professionals who care, they will have a very wide, holistic view. They will know a number of topics that are part of their topic, their main topic, and they'll mingle and tingle with all the different, because we're multi-diverse or multi-dimensional, or what's the word? There's another word for it, but there's a lot of subject matters that come into the mix. So like for me, when working with somebody mentorship wise, you're a person who has your child parts, your whole, you have your nervous system, and then you have, daily habits, and there's some that are stressors, some that are not. And so there's that personality, psychology, sociology, neuroscience, neurobiology, the human secondary consciousness, existentialism. Okay, so your why is from here. There will be moments where there is no reason. So being able to, in fact, be a master of, we talk about this Resh and your third and eighth, your eighth and ninth chakra, we're expanding those. This is for my 5D community. Give me 1 minute. Where's Resh? I lost Resh. But you've seen the symbol before. And so I don't know where it is, but when you are established in darkness, meaning aware that there's not necessarily any reason, we could just have the cosmos, existential physics. I haven't read it yet, but it doesn't create I don't sleep at night. I love you, God, you know that. Grounded in reality people, any of our cherishable beliefs, we know they can be falsifiable. That's why you're grounded in reality. It means that you are common sense. And that's what a structurally integrated brain person, not a structurally dissociated person, they don't get it, because they have a certain number of truths that are their truths, and it actually is something physiological. So I'm talking to you, not talking sense to you, because otherwise you wouldn't be here out at the 22 mark. Those who are, this is stupid shit, that's where they are already off put. And so it's very simple to know when people are not wanting to understand why, and you being able to be the source of it is the most amazing of things, because you're cherishing. That's where kind intention, gratitude, mindful living is this. It is not in you having an answer to the end or to anything of why. It's you're the why. I'm the why. Human being is the why. That's why with science it doesn't go in the opposite direction. Humanity is the why. What are you going to leave behind to the future? I'm going to leave them routines and healthy choices, and say don't make too much fun of the baby pacifier people, whatever that stuff is, because that's not nice. That's not nice, because to get out of hell requires a lot of strength, and they have people who think lack of imagination for evil. We still have people who want to give scarlet letters. So we have still self-righteous, contemptuous batons who are choosing to point at each other. So that's not supporting somebody. Instead, if everybody is able to, the ones who talk about health, the ones who talk about routines, the ones who talk about why, then you get into that which is your highest spiritual self. And so you being yourself the smart way, it's not a one size fits all, but we definitely won't be like, oh sure, let's allow ourselves to support mediocrity. No, we allow ourselves to speak mediocre. It's like with C's. People are like, well, C's aren't a big deal. Okay then, so we have C's, we have B's, we have A's. I know that as a healthy perfectionist, I'm always going to do my best to try and get an A. And when I've gotten C's, I'm like, oh my God, I'm mediocre. And then some people are like, but that's not a bad thing. It just means average. I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to be average. Well, but you are average. Okay, fine. So you have to get comfortable. Okay, fine. I'll get comfortable with average. Okay, but that's it. Let's say that you're not capable of learning. So my weakness, my weak spots, math, depth, and linearity. I can talk very well in my head, but sometimes that might not make sense. I'm saying we all have weaknesses. So you're not going to crap on yourself about it. You're going to laugh about it. That's why, laughing at ourselves. And so that's self-empowered, enlightened people. We can make fun of ourselves, laugh with others. Is why we are happy they're still comedians. Then there's the other ones who are still, they still get to choose. So mediocre, though, for what I was trying to say is every day you build in 24 hours your habits and your routines. And so sloppiness is part of that. You're like, okay, I'll let myself wiggle a little bit here. Wherever there are C's, kind of deal, but you got a variety, A, B, C's. Don't get to D's and F's. That just means you're not trying at all. Like, really, that. So when someone wants to tell me people are stupid, no, that's why we have the different voices that can speak to them. Different language motivates different people. And the ones who care about you will always motivate you to get to your highest potential. Some people play masters with disciples, and they're all disciples. Some people know what a spiritual master, a guru, enlightened one, and anybody who cares. And so they're not a master. They're going to be, hey, you and I are the same. And whatever I'm doing, you can do. It's not impossible. If something is impossible, we can look at it and, okay, you can't do that. But here we're talking about food, physical activity, culture, reading stuff. Okay, so the ones who want to talk to me about money, I don't know if I already shared it because this is a third recording or something like that. But I was in the supermarket and I saw that there's a basket for people who need food. So we have plenty of people who are sustaining and supporting. Do we want more? Yes, we do. Of course we do. But my point is we can all pitch in and together. The places that are really having a hard time right now are the places that we know of. And that's where when somebody really wants to put a, what's it called? Burst the bubble. Well, what about here? Yeah, I know countries have soul age groups, by the way. So they're working out. They're clearing their karma. They're moving into Dharma because it's a Dharma planet. So as a 5D mystic, that's what I don't tell them that. I'm telling you that. But the reality is anytime you find a person who presents to you a problem for every solution, yes, thank you, Albert Einstein, stay away from them. They don't want success. They're just sharing something. You also don't need to be like, I'm a healer, how do you time with them? That's not nice either. It's more of you let them speak, share their piece. They got it off their chest. They're miserable. They're upset. And there you go. And you can go and hang out with the ones who know, I did it my way. And now the time is here. And so we think, no, we don't do it only our way. We do it the right way for us. Because if we wanted to do it our way, then we'd all pretty much, again, I have some bad habits. I forget to drink water. I'm still trying to figure that one out too, see? And so, again, do a little dance, do a little love, do a lot of dancing and singing, and have a good time. Thanks for stopping by. Day 13, it's going awesome. Yay. So my why is really full of, I'm going to be able to pick up all the old ladies and the old men off the floor, and I'm going to become strong. No. Let's not break a hip. Let's not break a knee. Let's hope my scoliosis stands the test of time and doesn't give me too much pain in my back, stuff like that. So it's self-serving as always. See, look how selfish I am. I mean, we can't stop this feeling. So don't plug your nose. Am I gonna plug your nose? Every person, unless they are not wanting to be around here. And please, let's not go there right now. We already know that's a sad story. So very much fun is what I'm saying, and very much healthy, and I look forward to bringing you some more diary entries. Have a good one.